Welcome to a new series that we're going to be covering today and the next 4 weeks. It's going to be entitled The Science of Hope. I guarantee you, I'm going to cover some things and say some things you probably never thought about. For those people who are not necessarily biblical scholars or Bible scholars, one scripture deconstructed over the next 4 weeks, and we're going to talk about the science of hope. The scripture that we're going to use is probably something familiar. It doesn't matter what your faith is, what your belief is. You often hear it in media, you hear it in movies, you hear it in casual conversation. That scripture is found in Hebrews 11, verse 1, and it says, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for and evidence of things not seen." With that being the case, we'll use that as our starting point and anchor, and we're going to deconstruct that. I'm going to cover some things that you probably never heard of before and how you can make it applicable to your life, career, family, or anything you are pursuing. So I want to start this series off by telling a complete story and how I came up with this topic about hope. So I guess I'll say 15 years ago, um, my life was in complete shambles. Um, Everything in my life that I thought was solid, secure, was going in the right direction, came to a complete halt. From my career to family issues to just life in general, I was at my ground zero. During that time in my life, for me in particular, I spent the majority of my life in church and trying to do things God's way. Then 15 years ago, I found myself at ground zero. Everything was completely torn apart. You know how you hear people say, if you build your house on sand and the waves and all that, literally a tsunami hit my life. Everything that was important to me was touched. It was a complete shamble. And during that time, it was the beginning portion of me going on this journey to discover what faith was and what hope was. And so for those who are online and watching this is not a pie in the sky type of teaching. This is not something that is going to give you the warm fuzzies. This is how we operate hope in our life. How do we operate faith in our life to rebuild the things that we desire to have in our life? I'm using that one line of scripture that is probably a familiar passage you've heard in passing, that faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. We're going to use that as the foundational concept and break it down from there. The reason why I felt in my heart that I needed to do this series is because we are experiencing some transformation and change. There are a lot of uncertainties. If we are not careful, we could lose hope. If we're not careful, we can become casualties to our feelings, emotions, and things surrounding us instead of being proactive and pushing forward to the things we desire to have in our life. One thing that you'll find as you go through this series, and even in my own personal life, where I am today, to where I intend to go in my life, is a reflection of holding on to things when it felt like my life was hopeless, to continue to drive and to push when I didn't feel like it. Some things in my life I may have felt uncertain about, but having hope allowed me to continue to push, grow, take risks, pursue challenges, and put myself out there in places where I was uncertain of the outcome. Along every step of the way, my life, my faith, and my hope grew. So, wherever you're at in your situation, if you're unemployed or looking for employment, if there is more money than money, if you are just uncertain about the world around you, the political climate, if you're just uncertain about life itself, I encourage you for the next 4 weeks to give up an hour every Saturday. I hope you will grow, be encouraged, be motivated, be inspired, and be empowered to keep going when it seems like life is hopeless. For those who are interested, I am basing it off a book I wrote and released in 2020 called Tikvah. You can go to Avadai Dynamics to purchase it. It is on Amazon. You can get it in the form, or you can just purchase the book and it'll be shipped to you. This is the first time I've actually taught it, and I'm going to bring some practicality to where I'm at today and how those steps move me forward with this idea of hope. In this series, a couple of things. This is an interactive experience throughout the course of this series or the science of hope. I'm not going to give workbooks this time. I'm going to make this more interactive. I want you to type into the chat room, write your own notes, things drop into your heart or your head. You can put it in the chat. I want this to be an interactive conversation. As you grow and mature, learn and grow, there are going to be some things that jump at you. Make sure that throughout this process, you have to activate and be engaged in what I'm asking you to do. With that, I'm going to give you this one point in the beginning. Hope is not just a principle that governs success. So as we dig deep into this, what I want you to do is take 1 minute. I want you to either type in the chat, wherever you are, about words that you attribute to hope. What words come to mind when you think about hope? Just take 30 seconds to do that. What words come to mind when you think about hope? You can type in the chat if you have it. We have someone else. What is a word that you can attribute to hope? For other individuals, it may be to thrive. Another word could be to uplift, victory, promise. For some, it could be wealth, a wish, or multiple things. But for this series, let's come up with a clear definition of hope that we're going to focus on is the word that we see in Hebrews. The word hope in Hebrew means tikvah. So when I talk about the science of hope, that's what we're talking about. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, which is the word tikvah, and the evidence of things not seen. The unique aspect of the word tikvah, depending upon what you put in the chat, if it was peace, the interesting thing about the word hope, that part of scripture, is that the word hope means to root or to bind together, to expect, and to wait with tension. So when you read that scripture and it says faith is the substance of things hoped for, write the word hope if you have notes, and the evidence of things not seen. That word hope is the word tikvah, which means to bind together, to expect, and to wait with tension. So when you read that scripture, you circle that word and you think about hope and you think about life in particular. What I want you to do is to visualize the word hope as being a rope or a cord. If you've ever been on a cruise ship, let me give you an example that is really conducive for this time. Back in the old days, in class, every year they had an obstacle course unit or the rope climbing unit. They don't do it anymore, maybe because it was unsafe. There were these long ropes attached to the ceiling. The whole gym class would practice climbing up the rope, hitting the top and sliding down. They don't do it anymore. If you go to old schools from around the 1950s to the 1990s, you'll see at the ceiling there are 4 ropes attached. Those ropes are woven together with multiple cords. And if you ever had that gym class where you had to climb up that rope, a lot of kids did not. The big accomplishment, especially in elementary school, was being the kid who could climb up that long rope, slap the top, and slide back down. Hope means a strong cord or a rope that is weaving together that attaches to something. I remember when I first tried to climb the rope, it became difficult. Some people would do the first pull and realize they couldn't do it. They would hop off the rope. Or some people would get a certain height, look down, get scared of the heights, and climb back down the rope. When you think about hope, I want you to visualize that strong cord. Okay. I want you to visualize that strong cord because unlike optimism, what hope is the ability to pull or to attach itself to something that you desire, something that is unseen, something that you really, really want and pull it into your reality. Just like that cord. So that rope that you climbed as a child or the rope that you climbed in gym class, the difficulty is the science about how hope works. Hope is a strong cord. It's a cord that you attach to pull whatever is unseen into your reality. So when you look at that scripture, Hebrews, and it says, faith is the substance of things hoped for. Strong cord, that strong word, whatever it attaches to, and evidence of things not seen. Hope is an action. Hope is the binding thing that allows you to pull the things that you desire into reality. There was research conducted years ago with mice. The scientists had a series of mice they were testing for a long period of time until they stopped swarming. They were not dead, they were still living, they was alive, and then they would put them in water. Because mice can swim in water. They would hold them tight in their hand. After the mice kind of gave up, they would put them in water to see whether or not they would swim. One group they would hold real tight, the other one was a looser grip, but they still kind of wobbled around a little bit. What they found was the ones with a looser grip, when they put them in water, swam. But the ones held tight and couldn't move drowned. What they found is that when any organism loses hope, everything is lost. The power of hope gives you the ability to transcend things that are put into your life that are the little bumps in the road or even the major bumps in the road in your life. For an example, when you hear about someone who is in the hospital or someone is really sick, we often go into the hospital and we tell them, keep fighting, keep believing. Why are we saying those things? We're saying it because at any given point in time, if that person loses hope, whatever it is they're fighting will overwhelm them and overcome them. Hope is the most powerful of the psychological and spiritual elements that exist on the planet. When you become hopeless, things in your life don't get better, they get worse. You have to maintain hope. If you don't have hope, everything becomes lost. The goal of the next 4 weeks is to drill down into what hope is, how to activate hope, and how use our hope to pull those things we desire into our lives. There is a difference between natural hope or hope itself and wishful thinking. There is a difference between hope and wishful thinking. Here's an example. Let's say you have this concept or idea that you want to do in your life, or you have dreams or aspirations of becoming something. Let's say if you believe in hope to become a doctor, there are things you have to do when you were a kid. And people ask, what do you want to be? I want to be a doctor. Yes, that's good aspirations. But to truly become a doctor, you have to activate something else. You have to go to school, do well, study, apply yourself, and work really hard to become a doctor, right? 90% of us live in a world where we have wishful thinking, meaning we have grandiose ideas, but we never put the sweat equity into place to be able to activate the things that we believe in. What hope is the activation. Most of us have wishful thinking. Anything that you want to manifest in your life, you're going to have to work for it. Hope is the work that requires activation of what you have faith and belief in. When you read that, faith is the substance of things hoped for. You cannot have faith if you don't have hope. Plain and simple. You don't have faith if you don't have hope. Whatever you have hope for means you have put energy, work, time, and investment to manifest the things you are believing and having faith for. For those individuals who go to church, you read these stories about all the miracles that Jesus did you notice that every miracle Jesus did required individuals to take physical action to manifest that miracle? The woman with the issue of blood had to push through the crowd. Individuals had to be lowered from a ceiling. A man had to stand up. The responsibility to activate the hope in your life, you got to do something. If you don't, what you are really doing is living your life based on wishful thinking. The bigger thing that you're hoping for requires a bigger commitment and a bigger investment for yourself. Some of us think that you can wishfully think that you're going to get in shape this year. Haven't been to the gym once, but you wishfully thinking that you're going to lose weight this year. Some of us play our life like we play the lottery. We wish that by some strand, our numbers are going to hit and all of our rights and wrongs are going to disappear overnight. That's wishful thinking. It's not luck. Anything that I've ever wanted to pursue required investments. The bigger the thing I wanted, the bigger the investment. Everything I've ever desired, the small thing, take a smaller investment. But some of you have big dreams, big ambitions, require big hope, big work, and big drive to push forward. The only way you can activate your faith is just that you have to have hope. So in the course of this, I want you to understand that hope is the activator to your faith. It's the cord that pulls the unseen thing. These are the things in your heart that no one probably knows. Some of you have business ideas. Some of you have school ideas. You have some creative things that you want to do in your life. Some of you may be struggling with health or you want to get better. Whatever it is in your life, big or small, what activates it or puts you on the process to change it is that you have to activate hope. Don't wish that things will change. Get up and do something about it. One of the things that we often think about, even church, we just pray on it. Prayer is good. Meditating is good. But at some point, you have to get up and do something. Faith without works is dead. What is the work part? If I hope for something to happen, I get up and go towards the thing that I have faith and hope. And we're not talking about wishful thinking or this pie in the sky element where I just do something one time and I expect for it to happen. Some of us have been knocked down multiple times. Some of us have had barriers in our life that seem as if we can't overcome them. What hope allows you to do, it allows you to keep pushing when other people stop. Here's an example in my personal life. Like I said before, 15 years ago, life was a complete shambles. There was nothing that I could see in my life that would allow me to have hope other than that there was something inside of me that said, don't quit now. There was nothing physically that I could say I did. I had to mentally, spiritually, and physically every day get up to keep pushing. Yes, I prayed. The manifestation of this series started from the fact that someone said different to me and it ticked me off because I thought I had faith. Have anyone ever said something to you like, you gotta have faith? And you like, man, I do have faith. But what happens when just having this wishful thinking that things will change is not even good enough? You're at your wit's end. You've tried everything. What hope allows you to do is keep pushing. The way that you activate hope is confident expectations and actions. If I believe things will change, I will act accordingly. The first step to activating hope is to have a confident expectation plus an action. Confident expectation plus an action. If I believe things will change, I will act accordingly. What allowed me to keep going or will allow you to keep going is to have confidence in the expectation that it is going to happen, and therefore you act accordingly. If it's going to change, I'm going to act like it's going to change. Think about it. Pearls of possibilities, which are really the seeds of hope. For all of us, some people here are aspiring to be urban gardeners. You get your own little garden in your house and you plant seeds. When you plant a seed in the dirt, it is surrounded by obstacles. You dig it deep inside the dirt. It's watered. You have to do all of those things to take care of the environmental conditions. When the environmental conditions are optimal, the seed still has to overcome. Right? So when you plant a seed, it's covered by dirt. You water it, put sunlight, etc. The seed still has to push through just to begin to grow. Whatever it is in your life, there are optimal conditions for the things you have envisioned to have. But the issue is you have to push through all that dirt to break surface. Each and every one of us on this planet is the manifestation of hope. We represent one of a billion cells that fought for the person that we are today. So don't dismiss the fact that in your DNA is rooted in hope. You were born to have hope. You were born to win. You were born to transcend every obstacle that exists, because even within your conception, it was rooted in hope. If you have hope, you should act accordingly. And acting accordingly is not necessarily rooted in feelings. Pushing when you don't feel like pushing is not a feeling. It is a discipline. It drives you beyond yourself. So when we go through this series, get your mindset on. This is not a pie in the sky. This is you getting up and doing something about your current reality. I know that this week, for social media and the news, it seems as if everything is going bad. But you have to make a determination. Either you're going to allow it to impact you, or you're going to allow yourself to transcend and have hope and keep pushing and acting accordingly. You think that God vision that you believe that the Lord told you that 2025 is going to be your season, you think that it was going to be a cakewalk, or that a human has the ability to stop what God has placed in your heart to do. I'm going to I want you to think about that just for 1 second. We spent December, January talking about this is my season, this is my vision. And then by the end of this month, everyone is questioning whether or not, or focusing on all the other stuff happening in the world, and you losing hope. You take your eyes off the ball. So the question becomes, is man more powerful than a God that gave you the vision for this year or the season that you're in? If it is, then I understand probably these last couple of weeks you've been feeling hopeless, focusing on stuff, getting your feelings hurt, internalizing, feeling like that mouse, getting so squeezed that you're not willing to fight for what has been promised to you. So the question is, how do you activate your hope now? Or you start your year off with a high level wishful thinking, and now that things have come your way, 2025 is going to be like your 2020 and like your 2023, like 2022. People who grow have hope. The person I was last year is not the person I'm going to be this year. The person I was in 2020 is not the person I am in 2025. If your life is still the same and you can go back and say nothing is changing, you have spent most of your life wishful thinking, not hoping into your future. And it's strong enough to withstand setbacks if held on to properly. Hope is a rope that connects your present to your future. Hope is a strong cord. Hope is that rope that connects your present to your future and is strong enough to withstand setbacks if held properly. If you hold your hope properly, it has the ability to connect where you are today to where you want to be tomorrow. Some of us drop our hope in any sign of setback. So let me go back to that reality when I was a kid, climbing the rope in gym class. There was no greater achievement, especially in elementary school, than to climb that rope and touch the top. Now, I was fortunate enough at that age in middle school. By the time I got into fifth grade, sixth grade, I was able to touch the top of that rope and hit it and climb back down and ring the bell at the top. But other students were not able to do that. Let me explain to you the psychology why a lot of students weren't able to do it. To climb that rope successfully, there are a couple of things you need to understand. If you are scared of heights, don't look down. For example, you would climb the rope, they would get halfway up, look down, get scared, and then come all the way back down. Think about it. How many times do you start something in your life? You get halfway there, look down, fear hits you, and then you climb back down. That's one way that we stop our hope from manifesting. We do things, we get halfway there, we start the process, we get so fearful that we get off. There were other kids who had the same scenario. They would get on the rope, do the first tug, and they were not strong enough to pull themselves up. So they would just kind of pull it a couple of times, feel the resistance of what was needed to go up another one, and then they would just stop and say, I can't do it. How many of us, when they realize what it takes to do what we need to do, and the tension that it takes to activate our hope to move forward, just let go of the rope and say, we can't do it. Some of us don't even start. We look up and say, hey, I want to do that. And then we realize when we get up to the rope and it's our turn to take our chance, we pull on it, realizing it's going to take more effort than we're willing to put forth, and then we walk away. And then we have wishful thinking to do something else. How many of us are in that scenario in our life? Or you could be that person that keeps working their way up and touch the top and then come back down. Now, here's the thing that I noticed when I was a kid. The first time I did the rope, I was that kid who went up hard, can't do it. Stressing, hopped off, walked away. Next time, I climbed all the way up. The rope kind of started swinging back and forth. I looked down, got a little high, came all the way back down. But there was one day I decided that today is my day. I'm going to climb this rope. I'm going to touch that bell. And I'm going to accomplish something that has never been accomplished before in my life. So I did it. I remember I climbed the rope. I kept pushing. And then when you get to the point where you pass that midway point, you get almost there. That's the time when all your class are like, go, go. And you hit the bell, you come all the way down. It's amazing that when you get close to where you're at, you'll realize that sometimes there are people who really want you to succeed in what the things you need to do. But sometimes it's that midway point, you don't get the support that you need. It's the starting point, you don't get the support that you need. Why? It's because everyone in their life won't start what they need to do, and everyone will get halfway through and quit. So you have a world in which people are excited for complacency and the inability to succeed. Think about this as we go through this process. Are you surrounded by people who don't either want you to start or they don't want you to finish? How many people in your life never wanted you to start what you were doing or never want you to finish what you're doing? And even when the times get hard, they're the ones who quickly tell you, come off of that rope and come down. Or do you have the tenacity to keep pushing to hit your bell? Now, here's the thing that made it even more interesting. That after I touched the bell the first time, climbing the rope became easier every single time. By the time I was in high school and we had an obstacle course unit, I was even able to race and climb, learning different strategies and techniques. Like almost make the rope into a step stool and climb faster. For some people in your life, this is the season of you touching the bell for the first time to really break generational curses or barriers that have existed in your family for generations. Individuals who wanted to climb the rope but never did. Individuals who got halfway there, never did. You could be the first generation in your family to finally get up that rope, to actually pull the things in your heart into reality, to touch that bell, and to transcend generations. This series is about attaching yourself to that rope and finally getting yourself to that place where you're able to touch the bell. And here's the thing that makes it even more phenomenal. Once you realize the patterns and the formula for your life, you're able to keep doing it over and over again. Some of us think about this next week or so, just pick one thing. Pick one thing you want to accomplish this week that you never thought was possible. Think about what it takes. If you're on a weight loss journey, think about what it takes for you to lose 1 pound or 2 pounds this week. Journal it, what it took this week, and then you multiply it next week. And then what ends up happening, you keep moving, even if it's not a full pound, a quarter of a pound. What we have to learn is to celebrate and to keep pulling, even if it's incremental success. As long as you keep pulling, whatever it is that you hope and dream for will have to manifest. There are rules about this process. The bigger thing that you're hoping for, the bigger the amount of energy and force you have to exert to pull it into your reality. Yes, it is possible to become a millionaire, a big to get to your reality. As we start this journey, your ability to manifest 21 requires confidence in the expectation and action. Want to go to law school, or if you want to lose weight, you can't wish to lose weight. You have to diet, exercise, and work out. If you want to succeed in your career, it may require you to go to school. It may require you to give up your social time. You can't watch a gazillion basketball games every day and not focus on your dreams and ambitions. Something has to give, and you have to sacrifice. But if you really have confidence that's going to happen, you need to act accordingly. So what I want you to challenge yourself with this week is to start acting accordingly to what you hope for. What is it that you hope for? This week should not be, for some of you guys, you're in a season that you don't need to listen to anything that diminishes your hope. You may be in a season in your life, but you need to cut out the phone, stay off the media, social media, the cesspool of hopelessness. Sometimes it can be disheartening, especially if you have big dreams and big ambitions. Sometimes seeds are being planted into our minds and our psyches and our hearts, and we don't even know it. And then what happens is it diminishes our hope. We start to loosen our grip on that rope and realize that we're not tugging anymore because of the things bombarding our minds. There are certain conversations in your season like the people are always talking about stuff that doesn't edify or help build you up. Those seeds can be planted not to activate your hope in the way that it should. So this week, I challenge you as we close it out, watch your ear gates, your eye gates, things that you see, things that you hear, because if you have hope, understanding that hope attaches itself to what your dreams and ambitions are, and you pull it into your reality. Thank you for this week. Hopefully, you'll join us next week where we'll go deeper into this conversation about how hope actually works. How does it attach itself? What is your responsibility to attach itself? What is your mentality that you have to have within yourself to be able to activate hope? What is it that you're going to have to physically do to put yourself in a position to grow your hope, strengthen your hope, so you're able to activate your faith in such a way that you pull those things that you dream for, those things that you are hoping for, those things that no one else knows in your life that needs to happen in your life to pull it into reality. Be encouraged this week. Look forward to further in discussion this week. One of the things that hope does is activating. If there's anything that I said that's been a blessing to you, if there's people in your life that are struggling with hope, invite them. Share what I'm giving today on Facebook with people. You can go to Avatar Dynamics, our website, register completely for free, have them join the conversation. At the end of the day, our ultimate goal is to sow hope into other people's lives. Hope also returns to you. How giving into other people's lives helps increase the hope inside of you. If you grab the book, buy a book for someone else. The book has worksheets and activities to really activate your hope at a deeper level that they can't do in the next 4 weeks. Buy the book, share it with somebody. Get 4 or 5 people together and just talk about things. Make them like your Hope Tribe or your Tikvah Tribe, where you're talking and working together and really encouraging each other to keep going forward, to make sure the person in your life has their hands attached to the rope to pull it together. If you're married, have your spouse read it, work together, have these conversations. What we're going to attach our life to, what we have hope for, and how can we pull this thing into reality. God bless you guys. Look forward to seeing you next week. Please share. Hope this has been a benefit to you, but I guarantee you don't want to miss next week because it's going to get better. Thank you.